Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed, we do. Lots of interesting stories breaking this morning. So first of all, we have a poll that has really set DC on fire, that has Trump up by 10 on Joe Biden. So we'll break that down for you. How much stock should you put in it? With a reaction, all of that. We'll get into that. We also have President Biden doing something that we don't think any U.S. president has ever done before, which is heading to the picket line in support of auto workers in Detroit. So we'll break that down for you. We have, I can't even believe I'm saying these words, Canada honoring a legitimate Ukrainian Nazi.
Yes, alongside Zelensky.
From World War II, alongside Zelensky, a lot to reckon with there. We've also got update on that Senator Bob Menendez, who was indicted for cartoonish corruption. He has a real excuse for why everyone is turning on. It couldn't have been the gold bars stashed in his closet, Saagar.
It's the color of his skin.
It's his identity. Okay. They're persecuting him. It's all wildly unfair. So we'll get into all of that. We also have boomers, apparently the only ones who are watching TV at this point. Some very interesting content being developed to cater to that audience. But before we get to any of that, this is also a debate week, so we've got some special coverage planned.
We've got very special coverage planned. We're going to do a very similar format for everybody, a preview, a breakdown. We're going to get our power panel back, all of that. So go ahead and sign up if you can. We've got a lot of extra production content, which of course costs money. So if you are able to, breakingpoints.com to become a premium subscriber. Not only that, we're doing all this on-the-ground stuff with UAW, and we of course also have some more expansion plans that we're excited to announce in the future. So you guys are helping with that. Breakingpoints.com, as I said, premium subscriber today. You get the show early, all that other good stuff, and the debate preview in particular you will get very early before everybody else. So now we'll actually get to the poll.
Yes.
All right. So what happened? The shaking Washington to its very foundation, especially over at the White House. Let's go and put this up there on the screen. The reason why everybody is paying attention: a 2024 national general election poll of registered voters. Trump 52%. Biden, 42%. Oof. A 10-point margin for former President Trump in this head-to-head race. Now, there's a lot of questions actually about this poll and the freak out of which we will get to. Let's actually put the Washington Post's tear sheet up there on the screen, who reported this. The very way that they reported this, Krystal, is one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen. The headline out of this is very obviously Trump is beating Biden by 10 points. Instead, what they write is, post-ABC poll, Biden faces criticism on economy, immigration, and aid. Now, don't get me wrong, that's definitely a story. They talk about his disapproval rating, of which we're going to get to a little bit, about the favorability of some of the candidates. But you have to go almost 18 paragraphs down in this thing before they actually mention the 10-point margin that Trump is beating Biden by in their very own poll. Now, let's emphasize all of the obvious. It's an outlier. You know, do I really think Trump, if it comes down to it, if he wins, do I really think he's going to win by 10 points? No. Is it certainly, an 890 registered voters, relatively smaller sample size? Are we going to treat this as gospel? Are we going to say this is an exact snapshot of the race? No. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the overall average, and we're going to look at some of the more important factors, like how is approval of president, how approval of the job, what is things are issue by issue, which historically have always been important, but we still have to lead with the news here. I mean, so what did you think of their decision to basically bury the biggest lead out of their story? I think they were a little bit embarrassed by it, and of course, they still got the pushback from the Washington establishment regardless of their framing on the story.
I mean, in a sense, I think they should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't believe a poll that said either one of these candidates was winning by double digits. Like, the country is just too closely divided.
We're so polarized.
It's not going to be a 10-point election.
Right.
Not going to happen. So I think I kind of understand their embarrassment with this. Nate Cohn, to me, made the most salient point, which is like, listen, kudos to them for even publishing this thing, because they knew they were going to get a pile on. Right. And all the language about, like, it's an outlier, just so you know, it's an outlier. And they dig into the subgroups here and show some results that just seem, again, kind of farcical on their face. Like, voters under 35, I think we're going for Trump by like 20 points. That's not reality. I mean, there's no other data that backs that up. So he's like, on the one hand, kudos to them for publishing this. But on the other hand, this is the second poll that they've had in a row that's an outlier in this way. So there's clearly something going on with your methodology that if you aren't standing behind it, you need to fix it, or you need to dig into what's going on here that's creating these results that are really different. And if you believe the methodology and you think that this is
fine.
the accurate numbers
Right.
and more accurately reflective than every other poll, which shows a very different race, where it's basically, a coin toss between the two of them. If you believe that, then stand behind it. If you don't, then change your methodology and explain what's going on.
Absolutely well said. That's the thing, is like they're not changing their methodology. Clearly, they're like a little bit torn about it, but I think they should have just led with that. The thing is, though, and there's another one, NBC News did a deeper poll that actually gets to some of the things that the Post was trying to package. Let's put this up there on the screen. You can actually see some of these graphics. These were the most interesting. If the election for president were held today, for whom would you vote? Biden 46, Trump 46. That sounds very much like what it actually looks like. They pulled some of the other candidates. Ron DeSantis, they had Biden 46, DeSantis 45. This one, I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Biden 41, Nikki Haley 46. I think my only hope is that America doesn't know enough about Nikki Haley. But they actually, this was even more interesting. I'm curious what you think of this. Look at how they included third parties. So there they had Biden 36, Trump 39, Libertarian candidate 5, No Labels candidate 5, Green Party candidate 4. So you can see that actually both candidates lose a pretty significant margin to the Libertarian and the No Labels candidate as well, with the Green Party likely drawing from Democrats. So you could see there, though, that's very reminiscent of the 1992 election, where neither candidate actually won even close to the popular vote. Clinton was only elected with 42% of the vote because Ross Perot was there, but he, of course, won an outright majority in the Electoral College. George H.W. Bush long believed that Ross Perot had cost him the election. But it's interesting, though, because, of course, I mean, the No Labels candidate, we don't know even if that's going to exist. It's not necessarily on the ballot. But Libertarian and Green Party are 100% on the ballot. And you could see that they're definitely drawing margin from Trump, and they're definitely drawing margin from Biden. So there is not a sizable, but 10% or so of the overall electorate, which is definitely drawing from those two candidates in a head-to-head race. And, that's a pathetic margin. If you're going to have effectively a duopoly where they're only able to garner individually 36, 39% of the vote, what kind of system are we living in where these people are getting elected with 1/3 of the actual popular vote? That's nuts.
And where the overwhelming majority of Americans are like, please, God, not another Biden-Trump rematch. And it's like, here we go, another Biden-Trump rematch. Yeah. I mean, look, it's more data that shows that the third-party candidates tend to take more from Biden than they do for Trump.
Yes,
right?
in this particular, with No Labels,
it's
yes.
about it's about 3 percentage points. I don't know the breakdown of. I would expect Libertarian maybe takes more. I really don't know, but it's more data that shows the third-party candidates tend to hurt the Democrats more. However, let me say, is the 10-point margin for Trump in the Washington Post ABC poll accurate? No. Does it mean that they don't have an issue here? No, it does not.
Yeah.
I mean, they have bigger problems right now than even worrying about these third-party candidates. They need to fix their own house to begin with here because, listen, if Trump is who they say he is, and listen, I thought the Trump administration was horrible on a number of levels. The tax cuts for the rich, the chaos during COVID, January 6th and trying to steal the election. All of these things were horrendous. He's facing 91 charges, 91 criminal indictments, and you're tied? Like, that's your best case scenario, is you're tied with this dude? You need to do some real soul searching about your guy and about what has gone wrong in this administration, that this thing could even be close. And let's assume the state of play is that they're even in terms of the polls. That is a way better position than Trump has ever been in 2016 or 2020. Now, he ends up losing in 2020, but it was close. So, yes, they should be deeply concerned, and it is insanely pathetic that this should be the state of the race right now, given the fact they had total Democratic control of the town. They were able to do what they wanted. And I really think it comes down to 3 things. Number one is Joe Biden's age.
Yes.
Just
Age
in
is
terms
huge.
of that instant reaction, you're looking at this guy, you're like, I just don't even know if he's going to make it the next term. It's a real problem, okay? I think an even bigger problem is the combination of inflation and the fact that you have had all of these pandemic era programs that have gone away, that have left people way more cash strapped than they were at the beginning of the administration. So you can imagine how people are looking back and going, geez, if I think about how I was personally doing during the Trump administration versus during the Biden administration, I don't know. There may be a lot of things I don't like about Donald Trump, but because those programs have all been taken away under a Democratic administration, as much as they may be doing things long-term down the road that I like and I think will be positive for the American working class, the reality is today people have less money in their bank accounts and are having a harder time feeding their families, and that is what is showing up in these polls.
Yes, and actually, to the point about the outlier and all that, and part of the reason I don't think it even matters, put this up there. This is an average that Harry Enton put out in terms of all national polls just from the last month. Quinnipiac had Biden up by 1. The Journal had a tie. NBC News has a tie. CNN has Trump +1. CBS has Trump +1. Fox News Trump +2. ABC Washington Post Trump +9. The median of those is Trump 1, and the average is Trump 2. But here's the thing. Trump won the election in 2016, and he didn't even win the popular vote. I believe he lost the popular vote by a couple of points. So if he's leading by 1 on average, let's say the margin of error on that is 2, he can easily lose 2. He could lose the popular vote by an easy margin of 1%, given California and New York. He can absolutely clean up in the Electoral College. The thing is, and I actually saw some experienced pollsters say this, what you really want for Biden is you can disregard any of the outlier polls for Trump. Where are the outlier polls for Biden? We haven't seen a single one from a national polling company that has come out from any major outlet that has shown, remember those Hillary era polls? Trump, Hillary +16, Hillary +19. Even I'll never forget, what was it? Wisconsin had Biden winning by 19 points. That ABC Washington Post poll, I believe. I mean, he barely won it by 1 or 2 in 2020. So my point is that you need to see some major outliers to assume some sort of strength. Let's give the counter to this. Polls are totally wrong in 2022.
Yeah.
We also, know that the special elections of which we just covered in our last show, they're all trending heavily Democratic. We're seeing a major Democratic turnout. Abortion is very much, some sort of sleeping giant for a lot of Democratic voters. It's very likely that a lot of people who never voted in the past are definitely going to come out to vote this time around. Juicing voter participation. A lot of people were willing to overlook their economic conditions because they hate Stop the Steal and they hate pro-life candidates. So there's a lot of case. There's also a good case, I think, to just keep calm and carry on if I am the Biden team, as pathetic as it is. But age is just one they're not getting around. As we teased, though, Washington is very much not happy. Go ahead and put these up there on the screen. Larry Sabato over at the Crystal Ball, no relation. Crystal says, ignore the Washington Post. It's a ridiculous outlier. My question, how could you even publish a poll so absurd on its face? Will be a lingering embarrassment for you. Again, from what you can see, it's really, really hard to release these outlying polls. So you've got to give credit to the ABC Post. But I do give a major quibble here. If you release consecutive outlying poll results, R7, R10, you don't get to dismiss your own results. I definitely agree with that, and I think that the point is that for the freak out, it just shows the underlying insecurity of you have an 81-year-old man who's running for re-election, and you can't see a single one to even boost the ego a little bit that has you winning by +10 or +11, which in their minds, they deserve to win the election by that much. And they should be, in my opinion, they should be running scared for where they are right now.
I think they are.
Yeah.
It also is not lost on me that this poll comes at a moment when there was already a sort of collective freak out among elite media about Biden being the nominee again and about Kamala Harris being the vice presidential nominee again. Do I think, look, there's a lot of speculation like, oh, maybe he's still going to drop out. Maybe they're still going to have like a real primary process. I don't expect that, even though I think it would be the right thing to do. I think it would improve their chances if you were able to have a competitive Democratic primary process where people could actually evaluate their options and maybe get behind a candidate they actually feel excited about and actually feel confident is going to make it through the next 4 years. I'm not hopeful that that's going to happen, but I'm sure all of that pressure around are we really, once again, going with Joe Biden as the nominee is only going to increase, which is part of why there's such a freak out around this poll right now as well.
Yep.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.